Hello, everyone. So, we are honored to welcome Dr. Shermila Jayasinghe, the Director of Medicine at Northwest Hospital and Health Service Australia, and the CEO and founder of Life in Focus. As a physician leader, medical interviewer, career strategist, and mentor, Dr. Jayasinghe has guided hundreds of doctors through the Australian medical system. And also, recently, Doctor was awarded the prestigious RACP Medal for rural and remote service for her leadership in expanding specialist healthcare access in regional Australia. Congratulations, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Ashwini.
Thank you. And today we have Dr. Jaisinghe joins us to share invaluable insights into building a successful medical career in Australia. A very warm welcome to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us here today.
Thank you very much, Ashwini, and I really appreciate the invitation. And I hope I can add some value to the listeners and visitors who are in the platform about Australian healthcare system.
Sure. Thank you, Doctor. Now, Doctor, as we have global audience watching this podcast today, can you please briefly begin sharing your personal journey from your medical training in Sri Lanka to becoming a physician leader in Australia and what inspired this move, Doctor?
Yeah, actually, that's a very, I would say, a long but satisfying journey because someone, when you take the decision to move countries from where you have studied, that's a big
Mm.
decision. So, starting from the decision making process, you have to go through a lot when you are moving countries. So, I went through the same process. So, in Sri Lanka, I was starting my career as a physician. So, I completed a local training pathway for physician training, and then we had to go and do a attachment in an overseas hospital as part of our training. So I
Oh.
selected Australia for that and started my IMG journey in Australia. I first came into Australia in 2015 as a junior medical registrar. I first worked in Queensland, and to be honest, the first couple of months as an IMG is very difficult. Everybody would relate to that if anyone is listening who has gone through this pathway. So I have encountered challenges, barriers along this pathway, but I managed to navigate through these and overcome these hurdles and to succeed through the system, because the longer you study the system, you find out the things, special things about the system, and you learn the system. As part of the learning, you become an expert in the system. That's how I gradually built up my career. So after being a registrar for some time, I went back to Sri Lanka and got my specialist registration. So initial pathway I entered into Australia was short-term specialist training pathway, which allows about 2 years of experience gaining in Australian healthcare system. So after that, I got my specialist registration and came as an specialist under overseas trained physicians specialist assessment pathway through the physicians college, and it started my work at the first capacity of a consultant at my first job, which is I consider as very lucky, because that was about 8 years back. But the situation has changed now. A lot of doctors, overseas specialists, when they come to Australia, they try it hard. They have difficulty in finding out consultant positions. So, starting from the beginning as a consultant, I learned a lot of things about consultant practice and how to navigate the system at a senior level, and how we have to supervise juniors and support juniors. So that's how my career slowly took off. And other than my clinical duties, I took passion in teaching doctors and helping IMGs. And although it was not a mandatory part of my requirements, I did the AMC exam as well. That's find out what this pathway is actually, because everybody keeps on talking about how difficult AMC exam
Sure.
and this pathway is, how limiting that is. So I wanted to find out what the story behind this. So as an option, I did the AMC exam. So learned
Ah,
everything about the exam. So that gave me strength and understanding about the AMC system. So I can now teach and help other doctors who are coming through the MC pathway as well, not only specialist pathway. So that's how I branched out to two different pathways, junior pathways as well as senior pathways. So I have lived in both worlds and
mm.
experienced both worlds. So that gave me a lot of flexibility in helping other doctors.
You've given, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes,
So you've given AMC 1 and 2, you've completed clinical as well.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. So that's
That's
part of my interest, and also you can gain general registration easily when you get MC part 1 and part 2. So
Mm.
I'm someone who likes to work on a schedule, so when I set my mind into something, I just keep on doing that and until I reach my goal. So I wanted to achieve my get my general registration early, so I thought, okay, I will learn this pathway and see how it is and then just get the general registration.
That's really
That's how
nice.
it
And
works.
just for all audience who are watching this, Doctor, she herself has published AMC Clinical Guide, a easy book for you to navigate things faster. So the link will be given in the description below. So please do subscribe. I'm sure the book will be really helpful and useful for all the aspirants aspiring to give your clinical now. So what is there in this guide, Doctor? How it can help IMGs who are looking forward to give their clinical?
Yeah, exactly. So this AMC book I authored, I wanted to give the power to the doctors on how to develop the right mindset to overcome these exam barriers. This is all overall an exam guide, not only limited to AMC Part 2, because I
Okay.
have gone through multiple exams during my career, starting from your final MBBS, then our postgraduate studies, then AMC, then Australian exams, different types of exams. So when we analyze the exam system, medical exams around the world, they
Mm,
all follow similar structure. And if you approach any exam in the right structure and right mindset, decoding these difficult exams is not a big challenge. That's where a lot of doctors go wrong and misunderstand. They
mm,
try to gather clinical knowledge and theory knowledge to with a view of passing exams, but it's not only the knowledge which makes you a successful candidate in an exam. So I wanted to give that practical knowledge to the doctors who are taking the MC exam. So that's why I wanted to author this book with mindset training guides and how to approach step by step the exam easily and in a structured way. So this book is not a theory guide, because anyone can find enough theory books everywhere, and there are a lot of information. And personally, I believe any doctor should be able to pass this AMC exam. It's not a very difficult exam, although it is perceived as a very difficult exam. And the level of knowledge they are expecting from this exam is to the level of a very junior intern medical officer in Australia. So that's not a difficult level of knowledge. So any doctor has this level of knowledge, but how they put that knowledge in that exam setting to show them that they are capable and competent is the lacking piece in the puzzle. So I wanted to put a understanding, a good structure around that missing piece, and thought I'll share my knowledge, my learnings through this book.
that's nice. I'm sure, and the book is going to be really helpful for all the aspirants. And Doctor, I was just going through a lot about you, your interviews, your LinkedIn articles. I saw that you recently wrote that awareness about Australian pathways has increased, but competition has become much harder. So is Australia becoming more difficult for IMGs now?
It's a difficult question, Ashwini, but I have been observing and being actively involved in this IMG arena for the 10 years, more than 10 years at different levels. So I have worked in the system, then I coached doctors, then I supervised doctors, and now I am sitting at a director level, interviewing doctors and screening doctors for the system. So over the years, I see the trend is changing. The time when we entered into Australia, it was not this competitive, because there are multitude of factors coming into play when we talk about this job market in Australia. In the recent past, we see the competition for the jobs in Australia is significantly going up, and simply because the demand is high from the candidates. So there are like, as an example, we opened up a position a couple of months back for a junior medical officer. Vacancy was published, and we had 600 plus applications for single position, and it was not the scenario like couple of years back. So now the awareness is more through social media and widely available digital platforms about these systems. So a lot of doctors are aware about these pathways than ever before, and itself increases the awareness, and everybody wants to try the Australian healthcare system, because the impression about Australian healthcare system, work life balance and remuneration,
Yes.
benefits, so many things. Now it's approaching a wide audience than ever before. So people want to come in and work in Australia. So on top of that, the world political and economical crisis have also contributed. So some countries, people started migrating in mass scales, the doctors. So all these factors came in to play a role in increasing competition in job market in Australia. It happens at junior level as well as senior level. So nowadays, because I'm a committee member of the RACP, so currently sitting at screening overseas specialists who are coming to Australia. So I have been sitting in this role for about a couple of years now. So when we first started doing this screening program in the college committees, the number of applications we had from specialists are limited. But now for every monthly meeting, we have like double the number of applications we are going through. So that shows the increasing demand. So itself, because the jobs are not multiplying in the same order. So that's where the bottleneck happens. So much demand from the doctors, and there's only limited number of vacancies. So that creates a competitiveness, but it has not completely saturated yet. Still there's place for the doctors, but you have to be extremely structured and competitive. You have to be competitive in the process, not like before. So you cannot take this process for granted. That's why I am creating awareness through my educational channels and all the other activities I'm doing to help the doctors to understand the reality of the job market now. Because whoever is trying to enter into the Australian job market have to be competitive and have to understand what it needs. So it is a game. You have to change your game, and you have to play the game according to the competition.
And doctor, because briefly we spoke about your specialist route, you took a short-term specialist route. We understand that in Australia there are multiple specialist pathways, right? Specialist recognition pathway, the expedited pathway, or as you said, the short-term one. What are the differences, doctor? Which pathway is best for a specialist? We do get many specialists connecting with this, asking that which one works faster. At the end of it, they want to get into something which will allow them to enter the healthcare system faster. So,
Yes.
which is better? Is it possible to summarize it?
That's the same question I've been getting from various specialists around the world, Ashwini. So that, of course, Australia has multiple pathways opened up for overseas specialists, but each of these pathways have a specific purpose. So unless you understand the right purpose and the right candidate, you have to find out what are the nuances between these pathways. So this is a like a big topic we have to discuss in a like very big session, but as a like a very general overview, I can tell you that short term specialist pathway is for specialists who want to gain some level of extra experience or skills in the Australian healthcare system for a short period of time. That's only for 2 years period of time. That does not allow you to work in indefinitely in Australia. So that's for your training purposes. So you
Okay.
have to leave the country at the end of this training. So specialist pathway. Specialist assessment, overseas trained specialist pathways are conducted by multiple specialists. The purpose of that pathway is to assess your existing specialist qualifications against Australian trained specialists. So it's a comparison and a comparability assessment of your existing qualifications against Australian standards. So the colleges run these process. These are very complex processes which has multiple layers of processing, and so at the end of this process the colleges decide what is your comparability compared to Australian trained specialist. So they give
Okay.
you an outcome. They tell you whether you are non-comparable, whether you are equally comparable, or you are partially comparable. So this after this assessment you get like a skill assessment in other industries. We call it skill assessment. So this is a little bit comparative to a skill assessment.
Understood.
So the colleges run that assessment, and then they tell you what is your comparability, and then you have to go and find a suitable job. So that's the idea of a specialist assessment. So if you find the right job, if you complete the required training objectives, then you can gain specialist qualification from Australia as well. So that leads to specialist registration, and you can work at a specialist capacity. I mean, like within last 2 years, Australia introduced another pathway called expedited specialist pathway. That
Mm.
is a streamlined, fast-tracked pathway to take specialists into Australian healthcare system faster, because
Okay.
the Australian government identified that in certain specialities there are like significant gaps in service care delivery. So they wanted to attract rightly skilled, rightly qualified doctors quicker to the system. So they introduced this pathway, but there are a lot of caveats in this pathway. This is only available and eligible to the doctors who are coming from comparable countries like UK, Ireland, Canada,
Mm.
New Zealand, and according to the speciality, there are countries listed. So only the candidates from those countries with right qualifications can be eligible under this pathway. So not many countries become eligible under the expedited pathway. So these are the like slight subtle variations around these specialist pathway processes, but it's a very complex area to go through.
Okay. And doctor, the specialist area of need, this also I have seen. Is this something
Yes.
different?
Yes. Area of need actually is again geographically defined position. So let's say it's a very rural position in Australia, and location, they have the location has difficulty in attracting specialists, and
Mm.
then we can lodge a special request to assess that position as an area of need position. That's a separate process for that. And if
Okay.
that process is approved and the position is approved as area of need specialist position, then
Mm.
this hospital can attract doctors, overseas doctors, to fulfill those processes. But again, the application has to go through the college and get approved as a specialist process under area of need.
I also, when I was just going through about you and your LinkedIn article and the work that you're doing, I also saw this MedStart orientation program. What is this program about, and how will it help both? I mean, specialists plus the MBBS AMC pathway doctors. How will this program help them?
Yeah, Ashwini. So, MedStart program is one of my passion projects actually. So, as I told you, when I started, I didn't know much about Australian healthcare system. So, I was same as any other doctor who's coming to Australia. So, without much preparation, we are like so excited and overwhelmed by the fact that we found a job and we just pack our bag and come and work. So, when you are in the real working environment, only you understand how complex this is and how different this is from where we have studied and worked. So
Mm.
I struggled a lot because we didn't have a right orientation program to take us through everything we need to know as newly starting doctors. It's true, there
Mm.
are like most of the hospitals offer their own orientation programs when they onboard new doctors, but those
Mm.
orientation programs are designed to fulfill the objectives of the hospital, not the doctor's side. So, although
Mm.
you have completed those orientation programs offered by the hospitals, at the end of the orientation program, you are still confused. You still have the same questions you had when you started the program. So there was a big gap. So I identified. I went through that difficult process and listened to the same stories coming again and again from the other doctors as well. So they complete the given orientation programs, and then they start coming and working under me when we were supervising doctors. And after a couple of months, then again they come and say we don't know what we are supposed to do and how this works, and these simple questions started coming up. Then I thought I suffered some issues on orientation, not having a proper guidance. Then I
Mm.
see a lot of others suffer the same thing. So this cannot be a unique problem to a couple of people. This has to be across everywhere. So I saw this problem again occurring at when I ascended higher and higher in the hierarchy, coming into a director role, because I had to supervise many doctors. And
True.
with my involvement in the college pathways, supervising specialists, again same problems came up. The specialists were not oriented to the Australian healthcare system when they started working. So, to bridge this gap, I thought, okay, we need to sit down and put a good orientation program to help any doctor coming to the Australian healthcare system. So, I designed with the help of other IMG specialists and hospital directors. I sat down and put a curriculum to help new doctors coming into Australia to help them understand the system structure, the hierarchical system, the expectations of the doctor from the system, and daily routines they have to do, and what are the skills they are expected to have at an entry level, and how do you progress through the system, what pathways to follow when they want to proceed in their career, and what are the legal aspects, ethical aspects of working in Australia. And not only that, how to settle down in Australia, how to find your feet when you first enter into the country, how to open a bank account, and how to
Oh.
get your tax file numbers,
Mhm.
all these things. So we thought it should be a practical guide, not another orientation program on the books, but it has to practically help the doctors to clear all their doubts when they start working. So this is how the MedStart orientation program came into life, and we have completed a couple of cohorts already, and the feedback has been very, very positive. And my recommendation is anyone, any doctor who wants to come to Australia, no matter what your stage is, you may be still getting ready for AMC, or you may have completed AMC, you may be still looking for jobs, or maybe you have a job offer already processing paperwork, or you have maybe started working within last couple of months. Still, if you are a new doctor within first 12 months in the system, I recommend going through this program for any junior doctor or a senior doctor, because this covers the essential knowledge any doctor must have when they start in the Australian healthcare system.
So, for all the doctors who want to enroll into this program, the link will be provided in the description below. So, now I guess we've understood about the specialist pathway. We've also spoken about doctor's clinical guide that can help you all, plus the orientation program again, which can help you all. Now, doctor, you being a director, you being a physician leader, so as a director who interviews doctors regularly, I'm sure day to day you'll be doing this. What instantly makes you reject candidates?
That's a very important question, Ashwini. I talk about this a lot in interview coaching sessions I do for doctors, because when we are the panel sitting on the other side of the table in front of a candidate, and so there are many things we look in a candidate to figure out who is the best fit for our team. But instantly, a rejection would be someone who does not show the right attitude towards work. So, if a doctor fails to demonstrate that they are not safe, they are not willing to take feedback, and they are having overconfidence, and they are egoistic, all these attitude related things would immediately reject a candidate. Because qualifications, anyone can gain qualifications, because by the time they come into an interview panel, when we interview 3 4 candidates for a single role, almost everybody looks identical on the paper on qualifications. Almost everybody has a basic degree, they have done AMC exams, and they have a couple of years of clinical experience. So for me, as a interviewer, everybody is looking identical on the paper and on the CV from qualification side. So what makes you a unique person from the other 4 or other 5 candidates is your personal characteristics of who you are, how confident and competent you are, and how willing you are to work in a collaborative environment, and all these things matter, and how you interact and build relationships with other teams. So it comes down to the real person within you, and how willing you are to be a good member to our team.
Understood. Now, doctor, generally, let's say I've done my AMC too and I've got shortlisted for the RMO role. How long will the interview be for RMO role? Is
Commonly, junior position roles interviews are not longer than 30 minutes. It's rare you would have a 30-minute interview, but commonest time is 15 to 20 minutes. Recently, I trained a candidate who's having an interview on coming Friday, and her interview is only 10 minutes. So that's a big struggle against time. So what I trained her is that how do you prove yourself to a totally a stranger panel of
true.
professionals that you are the right candidate within 10 minutes. So that's a very serious thing you have to take very seriously, and that's why everybody needs to practice for medical interviews. If you are, no matter how many qualifications, how much is your experience, if you cannot present yourself well within that 10 minutes, you are going to lose the opportunity. So
Mm.
commonly RMO interviews are like 10-15 minutes or maximum 20 minutes.
And how about specialist doctor? Let's say if the specialist interview, it's for longer time.
Specialist job interviews usually it's longer, so can take
Mm.
up to 45 minutes to 1 hour, because
Oh.
they are interviewed on multiple layers of their skills, not only clinical skills. And
Mm.
so job interviews are like that. And if you face the specialist college interviews, that's usually again a 1 hour interview you have to face. Sometimes it can be more than 1 hour. Some
Mm.
colleges would have 90-minute interviews as well.
Okay. And now, just right opposite of the earlier question, what makes a doctor memorable during an interview? You told us what makes you reject them instantly.
Yes.
What makes you like remember about them? Oh, it's a nice candidate. What are the things that they have to have?
That's again the same thing, Ashwini. So if that doctor can create the impression, can give the
Mm.
impression that you are the right person whom
Mm.
we would love to have in our team, and that
Mm.
person gets a memorable and gets a special place in the interview panel. As an example, recently we had an interview for a ED registrar role, and I sat in the ED interview panel, and there
Mm.
were multiple candidates, but one doctor who was passionate in that job and who wanted to do multiple projects in that area, and who talked passionately about the work ethics and how she would treat the patients, how would she would handle the difficult situations. She immediately stood out against other candidates. So just after the interview, all the interview panel members were just in unison, in agreement that she is the preferred candidate. So it's who you are
Yes.
and how you showcase yourself. It's not just showing off or showing just pretending that you are going to be the right person. If because we can instantly feel that if someone is trying to reading through a script or trying to pretend someone whom they are not, we immediately get that. So be yourself and be come with the right attitude. So because a lot of doctors think that we don't analyze those things in the interviews, because simply we are asking technical questions. Most of the time, yes, the questions might sound technical, but
Mm.
there are a lot of other aspects we evaluate through those questions. Although they are not direct questions asking what personality you are and how good you are as a team member, we wouldn't ask those questions directly, but all the questions we ask you would give us an idea about who you are and what type of a doctor you are going to be in our team.
Now, doctor, because in your capacity, you would have seen hundreds of CVs. How important is a strong CV in Australia? Because now we meet doctors exploring different countries. We say for UK portfolio is very important. You need to have research, publications, PubMed publications, presentations, leadership, all it even to secure your first job. Along with it, of course, the ALSs, membership exams, all this we
Yes.
advise. Even when it comes to US, we know portfolio is very important. They travel to US to do electives, observerships, 3 4 months they will rotate. They will do research, paper presentations, build networking, and all that stuff. When it comes to Australia, how important is the CV, or primarily the thing is you pass your exams and you just enter the healthcare system?
Yes, so no matter what the healthcare system is, CV is utmost priority, because CV is the first impression you are going to create in the receiving end's mind. Because we don't see the candidate, we don't speak to the candidate on the first place. What we see is your CV. So the CV should represent your skills, core competencies, and your clinical experiences on top of qualifications. Nicely streamlined, meticulously drafted CV is very important, because it's like your mirror image, because you don't have the chance to speak, you don't interact with the team. So it's just this paper representing you. So it is very important document you have to put a significant weight into.
Okay, done. So this research, publication, audits, presentations, all this matter. When you're there in selection team, do you look into all these things?
I mean, like in Australia, the selection process, as I mentioned, simply because of the higher numbers we receive for the for a job. So the selection process can be multi-layered. So first one is a system, so IT based screening, because
Okay.
simply human we don't have enough staffing to go through all the CVs, read it one by one. So the initial first layer would be a technical IT based screening. So that's where the technical side of the CV comes in handy. So it has to be in a right format without too much distractions, graphical distractions, font changes, structural changes. So that's where the CV has to be in the right format and very simplified to go through that technical screening. So after that technical screening, then it goes to the HR department. So then there would be a human, but a non-medical person going through the CVs and making sure that the first screening is right, and looking at the qualifications and experiences. And that's the second layer of selection. And then at the end of the that screening, then it comes to the directors, the hospital department directors. So then the department director would look at the shortlisted interview applications, and then he or she would say, okay, I'm going to interview this person, and couple of people we would shortlist for an interview.
Okay. Doctor, I don't know how do you find time, but I also see that you are completely dedicated to life in focus. So, what is life in focus trying to solve, doctor? And I also see you speak a lot about burnout, about physician burnout, and why are so many doctors silently struggling?
Yes, that's a very important question, Ashwini, and thank you very much for asking that, because life in focus, as the name suggests, I wanted to empower doctors to keep focus on your life, because we all know the doctors, by the time they graduate, even at a junior level after your primary medical degree, you have dedicated years and a significant proportion of your life and effort and money into becoming this doctor. And so a lot of doctors, then they think this journey is over, and then they go on with the flow, and they lose the focus on life. Because when they are undergraduates, so when they are getting ready, doctors are very good at getting ready for exams. They put down plans, they put down training pathways, planning study schedules, and they do all sorts of things to pass exams, and they have very good strategies in passing exams. But I rarely see doctors applicating the same strategies to their lives, their own lives. So the life goes out of focus. So I wanted to bring the attention of doctors to keep their lives in focus, because if anyone has any goal, like as an example, in relation to today topic, we'll talk about anybody wants to come to Australia. So rather
Mhm.
than just following the flow and just doing what everybody does, if you
Mhm.
sit down and think about your decisions and your life choices, what are your options and what are your long term goals, then it would give you a very good clear idea about what you are doing and why you are doing that. So this is where I come from, because I studied career coaching and I'm a certified career coach in Australia. So I started developing this passion into finding out what makes us human and what makes us unique among thousand other people. So I wanted to help the doctors focus on your unique values and your unique capabilities, and improve on those things to keep life in focus. Every individual and any human being who are born on this world have their unique capabilities and unique abilities, but not many understand that and realize that. So we always chase behind dreams which are not ourselves or not us, and they think the external factors, deciding factors, are the norm, and we have to follow all the external factors, success guidelines and all these things. But if you look within yourself, and if you look inward rather than outward, you would find so much value within yourself. So life in focus is a way of helping doctors to focus on yourself, your capabilities, and then gradually build up on your own capabilities to achieve whatever the goal you have in the future. So this is, I passionately do this and help doctors in career navigation, in finding out their life purpose, life goals. Because in my opinion, burnout is a result, it's a symptom. A lot of in medical industry, I see that burnout is a commonly discussed topic, and we think that's the problem. Yes, burnout is a problem, but it's not the only problem. Burnout is a symptom of a lot of underlying issues. If someone does not know who you are, who your values are, what are your goals and what are your intentions, what is your direction you are heading, So that leads to self dissatisfaction and poor self esteem, all these things. Then it leads to burnout. It's not only the workload which leads to burnout.
True, doctor. That's really nice. And doctor, how does your sessions work? Like, do you have time to support doctors? Like your coaching programs are one-on-one, or is it all cohort based?
Yeah, it's different type of sessions I'm offering, because interview training I do one on one, because interview training I don't think it's a practical way of group training, because we have to develop the candidate, identifying their weak points, their communication styles. So it's a one on one coaching I'm doing always for interview training, junior doctors as well as senior doctors. And then the MedStart orientation is a group, small group sort of orientation program, a course delivered by myself and two other consultants and hospital directors. So there are
Understood.
different models we offer, and also career coaching also, I because I want to make sure that whatever the service they gain from my life in focus programs, it has to be valuable to them, and it has to be career changing, and they should be able to gain something very positive out of those sessions. So to ensure the quality of the service I provide, I most of the time I do the career coaching also one on one. So I sit down with the candidate and understand their current situation, frustrations, their current qualifications, what are their long term goals, and also that's also a one on one session I offer.
And also for doctors who are listening to this podcast, doctor is also available on GooCampusWorld.com. If you're looking for a session with doctor, do reach out to us. We will request doctor to open a slot for you, after which you can book, you can have your session.
Thank you, Ashwini, and it's nice talking to you and getting to know you.
Same here. Thank you so much for your time, doctor. It was wonderful talking to you. I mean, someone at your level talking with so much of humility and the kind of person you are, it was really great talking to you. So, all the very best to each one of you. Looking forward to explore or move to Australia. And thank you again, doctor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ashwini.